Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a mod review for the mod called Infabulate in EU4 1.34. But before this video begins, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, and I know with your support we will be able to do it. So now let's jump into the mod. This mod called Infabulate completely overhauls the way that EU4 works for specifically African, Arabian, Middle Eastern, and some Asian nations. Basically, the way the mod creator puts it on the mod page is that this mod is supposed to revamp areas of the map that really don't get a lot of attention and historically for this time period in EU4 are kind of overshadowed, especially from the Eurocentric view. So as you can see here right off the bat, in Africa alone, there are way more tags than there are in the base game, and we'll go over specifically what has changed in a moment. But first, one thing that I need to point out is the mod creator did an excellent job in that all of the nations are actually named in their native language. So as you can see, Hungary is called this. Specifically, the Ottomans are actually called this in their native language, and they are red in this mod, which is quite funny. You have Muscovy, of course, Castile, and all of these other nations are all named what they are called in their native language. Even Grenada and Tunis and Morocco and pretty much every single nation, like I said, is named what they are called in their native language. Of the things specifically that the mod creator has changed in this mod are new provinces, trade nodes, climates, cultures, and tags in Arabia, Mesopotamia, Iran, Central Asia, Turkey, and Rumelia, and all of Africa. There are also new missions, events, and governments for Dira, Shamar, Yaman, Uman, Shafawiya, the Ottomans, which is quite interesting, Bunj, Dotowao, both of the swappables in Egypt, as long as you start as the Mamluks and as long as you wait for the event to fire, giving you a choice. And there are also brand new subject types. There are non-sovereign tributes, enhanced march vassals, client cities and states, which I'm assuming this means that you can make them earlier than you can in the base game, fiefs, and Maghrebi vassals, which are basically dynasty vassals exclusive to the Maghreb. So suffice to say, this mod completely overhauls a part of the EU format that I feel personally has been neglected. Specifically, Iran and Arabia, these areas of the map really have not been updated by Paradox in a very, very long time. However, this mod does an excellent job in bridging that gap and allowing you to play a not only more historically accurate game, but a more fun game. As like the mod page says, it adds way more missions, events, and overall flavor to these nations, which are sorely lacking. Starting off with what has changed, we should first look at Africa, which is the central focus of this mod. As you can see right off the bat, they completely have overhauled Africa. Africa really up until around 1.31, I think it was, whenever they added the Songhai update and all that, whenever that was, Africa had always been very barren, and it still is quite barren. However, Paradox did take steps to address that. However, this mod goes above and beyond what Paradox did in adding all of these new tags, and do keep in mind that these tags have been made so that you can play them from day one. And that is something the mod creator likes to stress, is that you can basically play pretty much all of these tags from day one. You don't have to do any weird finagling or anything like that if you want to play these tags. As you can see, in Africa now, there are way more cultures to reflect what it was like historically and to become much more realistic. There are also a ton more new trade nodes, especially in Africa. As you can see here, many more new trade nodes. Of course, we have the Cape of Good Hope that we all know, but then you also have these trade nodes here and some of the ones over here. You also have more trade nodes in Arabia. As you can see, we have the Jeddah trade node and this trade node here. But going back to Africa, as you can see, the religion really has not been changed. I do think this is fine, however, as it does reflect the religions pretty well in Africa, having them fetishists. So I think they did a good job here. However, it does look like the mod creator is still working on this mod, so hopefully in the future the mod creator does add even more religions to Africa as the separate fetishist / pagan branches that existed in Africa as their own separate religions, like we have seen in Veritas et Futuro, for example. One of the things that I wanted to point out, and really one of the only places in Africa besides North Africa that I'm pretty familiar with, is Madagascar. As you can see, there are way more tags in Madagascar. There's normally just, I think, 3 at the beginning of the game, or 4. However, look at Madagascar. It's completely separate in these tribes, which will make uniting Madagascar not only more challenging, but also a lot more fun, as you'll have a lot more nations to attack and subjugate. As you can see, Central Africa is no longer completely barren and empty. It actually has quite a bit of nations now, and it also seems to use this kind of tribal land mechanic that is found with the North American tribes, where these people can basically go around and keep resettling a province, and then once it gets devastated, then they can move. As you can see here, they have what is similar to the North American tribes, with these buildings that give various different bonuses. Speaking of these uncolonized nations, that is something that this mod creator has done very well with, in adding all of these uncolonized provinces, which I don't really know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for these various African nations. For the tribal nations, it definitely will make them a lot stronger, since they're not just stuck and they don't have to take exploration or expansion ideas. And as you can see, the Mamluks are a lot thinner in this mod. The Mamluks have actually gone on a diet, it looks like. Instead, they have, of course, their provinces by the Nile, but really only have their provinces by the Nile. And instead of holding these provinces here like they do in the base game, they are just considered uncolonized provinces. One thing that I just spotted is the monuments here. As you can see, there are quite a few new monuments. I don't know how many. The mod creator doesn't list them. However, when you download this mod, you can actually go and have fun exploring that yourself. However, I did notice 2 new ones just right off the bat here in Egypt. With the Mamluks, we have the Valley of Kings and the P. Ramses, which I assume is just the temple or something like that, which is really cool. Like I said, this mod creator does a really good job in bridging the gap that Paradox has unfortunately left wide open in not updating these various regions, such as Africa, such as Iran, but especially Egypt. The Mamluks really need a custom mission tree. They're such a fun nation. It's a shame that Paradox has not updated them. Going over to Arabia, as you can see, we have the Mamluks, who are much thinner, but you also have the actual Arabian Peninsula being a lot more developed, with way more little tags scattered about. As you can see, you also have these kind of little tribal nations, which is really cool to see. These little tribes that are just kind of isolated in the desert here. I don't really know if they can migrate, since it doesn't look like these provinces can be colonized, but as you can see, this is an excellent job in representing the various little tribes here in Arabia. When it comes to the cultures, you can see the culture groups are quite a bit different. As you can see here, we actually have some other new cultures that have been added, not just in Africa, but in Arabia, and the culture groups have been completely redone. Now, Turkish is not in the same culture group as, let's say, Syrian or something like that as it is in the base game. Instead, those are completely separate cultures, which is definitely a lot more historically accurate. Taking a quick glance over to modern day Palestine, you can go ahead and see something new here. Actually, in this mod, there are not only new cultures here, but there are also new religions. So as you can see, the mod creator has left these provinces here as majority Catholic. At least 2 of these provinces here are majority Catholic, but then there's also 2 new faiths. There is this faith here, and there is also Alawite, which is quite interesting. They don't have a description, so I wasn't able to read them, but let me know in the comments below, what are these faiths? Of course, I know Catholic, but what are these 2 faiths here? They're really cool, and I love when mods add new faiths. Of course, I know what Shia is, but what is this faith, Druzi, and what is this one? Do let me know in the comments below, as I love when these mods add very obscure religions to their provinces. It makes it a lot more fun and can allow you to convert your nation through rebels to a new and fun religion. Going over to modern day Iran, as you can see here, it is a lot more split up, and the Timurids are not nearly as big as they are in the base game, so I do imagine it is even harder in this mod to keep your Timurid vassals loyal. The religion in the Timurid / Iranian lands is basically the same, and the cultures are relatively the same. I think you might have one or two new ones here, but they are predominantly the same. Going over to India, it looks like you might have some new tags here. The mod creator doesn't really specify how many new ones, but it does look like you might have some new tags. The religion in India is the same, and the cultures are relatively similar as well. Going over to Asia, it does look like the tags are relatively the same. Of course, they are all named in their native language, which is really cool. It is especially really cool seeing Ming in their own native language. The religions here are basically the same, so is the cultures. The mod creator really didn't focus too much on Asia. I do see a few new cultures here in Asia, but they didn't really focus too much on Asia. Instead, they focused primarily on Africa, as that is the centerpiece of this mod. Going over to the Steplands, you can see we have beloved Oirats with their Mongolian vassal, as well as the various Jurchen tribes and Korea, all the same as they are in base game. And going over to Japan, we have it, of course, just as cluttered as normal. I don't really know if they changed anything. The religion and the cultures of these areas are, of course, the same, minus the Buddhist provinces here, which I do believe are unique to these hordes, as these hordes have taken them as the syncreted faith. At least I think they are. I might be wrong. I'm not too familiar with this area in the base game. And of course, we have our normal Tengri and Sunni provinces, as well as Hinduism with the Muslim countries in India. Same goes for the various Hindu, Muslim, and Buddhist countries that we have in Southeast Asia. Going over to the steppe lands, as you can see, things are basically the same. They are all named in their native language. The religions are basically the same. Same for the cultures. I don't really see anything different here, minus some of these cultures up here, which are quite interesting to see, especially seeing as they are grouped, where we have these right here, and then these cultures are completely isolated in their own little culture group, which is really cool to see. Going over to Russia, nothing really has changed in either the religion or the culture group. As you can see here, Muscovite is still grouped with all these Novgorodian, Ruthenian, Belarusian, etc. However, they are all named in their native language, which is really cool. Going over to Scandinavia, as you can see, everything is basically the same religion. Going over to Anatolia, a lot has changed. First, of course, like I said at the beginning of the video, we have the lovely red Ottomans, which is very funny. I can only picture the Ottomans as green. Seeing them as like this pinkish salmon color with this new flag is really weird. Same for Orange Venice. Orange Venice is so strange. Orange Venice looking like it's sherbet ice cream is very strange to me. We'll cover that in just a minute. Right now, let's look at Anatolia, as quite a bit has changed here. First of all, the religion is relatively the same, although we do have this country having that one Orthodox province, which I don't know if it's like that in the base game. Do let me know in the comments, is there this one Orthodox province in the base game? I feel like there isn't. However, the biggest change in Anatolia is not the religion or the names, but the cultures. As you can see, the culture groups are completely separate, where we have the Turkic culture groups actually grouped with the Turks, not just having the Turkic culture group having the same relation to, let's say, the Egyptians or to the Arabians, which is very nice, as I think it makes this mod much more enjoyable and much more historically accurate. Going over to Europe, really everything is the same. Not too much has changed, although we do have Transylvania as a march in 1444. As you know, in the base game, Transylvania is a tag that can be released. However, it does not exist in 1444, except in this mod it does. We have, of course, Austria like normal. In this area, the religion and the cultures are basically the same. I didn't notice anything different. Going over to Poland, everything is basically the same. Everything is named in the native language, which is really cool to see. Same for Lithuania, same for the Livonians, and our beloved Riga. When it comes to the HRE, everything is pretty much the same. The mod creator did not touch the tags in the HRE. Pretty much the only regions where they added tags were in Africa and Arabia, a little bit in Southeast Asia, and some in Iran. The tags in Europe have been left alone. Going over to Italy, everything looks basically the same except for Orange Venice. I still can't get over Orange Venice. Venice looking like sherbet ice cream. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over, but I do like the flag that they have in this mod, so I guess that makes up for it. Going over to the Pope, their name is really cool. The ecclesiastical state, I think this means. Same for Milan. I do love how all of these nations have their own names in Italian, not just the Italian nations, but all of the nations. Honestly, I think that's one of my favorite parts of this mod, is having the nations named what they are called in the native language that they speak. Going over to France, as we can see here, really nothing has changed. The religion and the cultures are the same. Same for Iberia, although as you can see now, everything is called what is called in their native language. Granada is called this, which is really nice to see. Again, the religion and the cultures are the same. Going over to the British Isles, everything is pretty much the same for the culture and for the religion. However, where things start to differ is the names. As you can see, the Isles are no longer called the Isles. Instead, the Isles are now called this. Really interesting to see. Very cool. And do they have a new flag? I'm not sure if they have a new flag. I do like this flag. I don't know if this is their base game flag, but regardless, I love this flag and I absolutely love their name. Ireland is the same province, culture, and religion-wise. However, the kingdoms in Ireland are now all called what they would have been called in Irish. So no more Desmond, it is now this, which is really cool and definitely adds even more historical accuracy to this mod. And what I have really been eyeing this entire time is North Africa. North Africa in this mod is an absolute mess, but I really like it. As you can see, this mod kind of uses a oasis system similar to what some of the previous mods that I have covered use, although these oases are not centers of trade like they are on these mods. However, they do lead you to being able to expand your nation and jump down from North Africa into Sub-Saharan Africa or vice versa. As you can see, we have red Morocco, no more orange Morocco, we now have red Morocco, which I actually like since it matches their flag. And fortunately in this mod, Sus survives, my absolute favorite nation in all the game. Of course, Tlemcen is still the same color, but they have been renamed. Tunis, I can't even find Tunis. I don't know who is supposed to be Tunis here. One of these guys is supposed to be Tunis, I think. However, as you can see here, Tunis has been completely split up and now has all of these nations here. The New World really hasn't changed anything. The religion there is the same, and I do believe the cultures there are the same as well. Overall, this mod is really well done, and I think this mod creator does an excellent job in doing what Paradox should have done a long time ago, which that is bridging the gap that so many of these nations face, especially nations like the Mamluks, where they have no mission tree, or they have a mission tree, but it's just been so long since it got updated. In 1.35, we are going to see the Ottomans get updated. I do wish that they were updating the Mamluks as well. Hopefully that'll come in a future update. I honestly love the mod creator adding these faiths here, as I think in addition of faiths in any mod does an excellent job in adding to more historical accuracy. As we all know, there were plenty of other faiths in the world at this time, not just Catholic, Orthodox, Sunni, Shia, and Coptic. This mod really doesn't add too much on the surface. However, once you get in depth, especially into these nations, and see the new mission trees and see what the mod creator has added, especially in Africa. So I'm going to leave the mod linked in the description down below. Do make sure to check it out and give it a positive review on Steam, as if you're someone who likes to play outside of Europe, you will definitely find this mod is right for you. This has been a mod review in EU4 1.34 for the mod called Infabulate. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, and I know with your support I will be able to achieve it. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.